Old Turtle in Tongtian River. The Monster's Dream. The 79th, 80th, and 81st Trials of the 81 Calamities. Protagonist: the Old Turtle of Tongtian River. Weapon: none. Characteristics: average martial skills, fair and clear about grudges, mild-tempered, always kind to others. Weaknesses: low combat ability, narrow-minded, vengeful. After subduing the Jade Rabbit, Xuanzang and his disciples continued their journey and arrived at a place called Tongtian Mansion. There, a kind-hearted wealthy man named Xuanzang warmly welcomed them, offering food and drink, and even invited Xuanzang to stay longer. However, since they were already close to Ling Mountain where the Buddha resided, Xuanzang politely declined the invitation, eager to retrieve the true scriptures, and left Tongtian Mansion with his disciples. Shortly after they left, a gang of bandits broke into Xuanzang's home, stole many treasures, and killed him. His wife and son, seeing him dead, mistakenly believed that Xuanzang and his disciples had returned to rob and murder Xuanzang. They reported this to the authorities. The officials sent men to arrest Xuanzang and his disciples, accusing them of murder. Some readers might wonder, with such great abilities, how could Xuanzang's group be captured by ordinary officials? In fact, it was precisely because they were dealing with ordinary humans that Xuanzang and his disciples refrained from using their powers or violence, choosing instead to clear their names through proper channels. To prove their innocence, Sun Wukong visited the underworld and convinced Yama and Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva to extend Xuanzang's life by 12 years. Xuanzang was thus resurrected, and he explained the true cause of his death to his wife and son, clearing Xuanzang and his disciples of any suspicion. This event marks the 79th hardship of Xuanzang's journey, imprisonment at Tongtian Mansion. After leaving Tongtian Mansion, Xuanzang and his disciples finally reached the foot of Ling Mountain, where they were close to obtaining the scriptures. However, they encountered a river called Lingyun Crossing, blocking their path. While crossing the river by boat, Xuanzang accidentally fell into the water. When he scrambled back onto the boat, he was shocked to find that his physical body had remained in the river, making him think he had drowned, and only his soul had made it to the boat. But his disciples reassured him, saying, "This is the result of your spiritual transformation, you have now become immortal." This event, transformation at Lingyun Crossing, constitutes the 80th trial of Xuanzang's journey. After crossing Lingyun, Xuanzang finally obtained the scriptures and began his return journey to the Tang Empire. Little did he know that one more hardship awaited him ahead. The tool person for completing the 81st trials. When discussing the 79th calamity, we must return to the journey of Xuanzang. Along his journey, he passed through Tongtian River, where there lived an ancient turtle over 1,300 years old. Although a demon, he never committed any evil deeds. Instead, he stayed hidden underwater, focusing solely on cultivation, hoping to shed his shell and transform into a human. His avoidance of wrongdoing didn't mean that other demons in the area did the same. A few years earlier, a goldfish demon invaded Tongtian River, causing havoc for quite some time. This goldfish demon was originally a fish raised in the lotus pond of Guanyin Bodhisattva. After years of listening to her chant sutras, he acquired magical powers. One day, when Guanyin was away, he took advantage of the rising tide, sneaked out of the lotus pond, and slipped into Tongtian River. Upon arriving, he first beat up the old turtle, took over his lair, drove the turtle and his offspring out, and then, with his shrimp and crab soldiers, terrorized the local people, bringing disaster to the area. The old turtle harbored resentment, but there was nothing he could do. After all, he couldn't defeat the goldfish demon. He shrank into a small pool by the riverbank and dared not appear again. It was at this time that Xuanzang and his disciples passed by Tongtian River. They heard that the goldfish demon demanded a tribute of young boys and girls every year, and decided to act to subdue the demon. After a few battles, Sun Wukong called upon Guanyin Bodhisattva, who subdued the goldfish demon, saving the local people. Naturally, this also freed the old turtle from his misery, for which he was immensely grateful. The old turtle, being an honest creature, felt indebted and wanted to repay the favor. Knowing that Tang Seng and his disciples needed to cross the river, he voluntarily emerged, explained the situation, and then offered to carry them across the Tongtian River on his back. Sun Wukong, however, wasn't completely trusting, and tied a bridle through the turtle's nose before crossing. Despite this disrespect, the turtle took it in stride and didn't mind at all. As Tang Seng sat on the old turtle's back feeling uneasy, he said to the turtle, "Old turtle, thank you for your hard work. I don't have anything to give you. What should I do?" "I don't need anything," the old turtle replied, shaking his head. "I've been cultivating here for over 1,300 years, living long, and even able to speak like humans, but I still can't shed my shell and become fully human. Master, when you reach the West and meet the Buddha, could you please ask him when I will be able to shed my shell and attain human form?" This was a small request, and Tang Seng naturally agreed without hesitation, saying, I will ask. The old turtle kept this promise close to his heart. Ever since he had ferried Tang Seng and his disciples across the river, he had been waiting day and night at the riverbank with his little turtles, eagerly anticipating their return with an answer. One day, while the old turtle was napping in his cave, a little turtle came rushing in shouting, "Ancestor, ancestor! Something big has happened." The old turtle slowly opened his eyes and calmly asked, "What's the hurry? The sky isn't falling, is it?" Panting, the little turtle replied, "Ancestor, 4 monks have fallen from the sky." "What? Monks?" The old turtle was no longer calm, his small eyes widened in surprise. "Where are they? Quickly take me to them." He had a hunch that this meant Tang Seng and his disciples had returned. Sure enough, from a distance, he saw Tang Seng and his disciples standing by the river. In his excitement, the old turtle let out a loud cry, "A woo!" It turned out that after enduring many hardships, Tang Seng and his disciples finally reached the West, met the Buddha, and obtained the scriptures. The Buddha, recognizing their merit, sent 8 Vajras to use their magic to escort them back to the Tang Empire. This should have been a joyful occasion, but often joy turns to sorrow. As they were flying in the sky, Guanyin Bodhisattva realized, after some calculations, that they were still 1 calamity short of completing their journey. To achieve true enlightenment, they must endure 1 more trial, Guanyin Bodhisattva said. Thus, the 8 Vajras withdrew their magic, causing Tang Seng and his disciples to fall from the sky. And as fate would have it, they landed right by the Tongtian River. Disappointing the old turtle is serious. Tang Seng and his disciples stood before the roaring river, unsure of what to do. Just as they were feeling helpless, they suddenly heard a loud "a woo," followed by someone shouting, "Tang holy monk! Tang holy monk! Come here, come here!" It was the old turtle calling to them. Even from a distance, he abandoned his usual composed demeanor, shouting excitedly, showing just how thrilled he was. "Master, I've been waiting for you for years. Why are you only returning today?" the old turtle said. "I'm the old turtle, do you remember me?" Sun Wukong chuckled, "Of course we remember. You ferried us across the river back then, how could we forget?" Tang Seng also added, "Are you here to help us again today? Thank you so much. Amitabha. You old turtle, you're truly a good demon." Zubaji gave a thumbs up, "You're really something." Sha Wujing didn't say anything, but his green face turned into a smile, clearly pleased. To make it easier for Tang Seng and his disciples to board, the old turtle slowly crawled to the riverbank and lowered his body like a camel. One by one, Tang Seng and his disciples climbed onto the turtle's back, along with the white horse and their luggage. Sun Wukong was the last to board. Just like last time, he jumped onto the turtle's neck, stepped on the old turtle's head with 1 foot and shouted, "Old turtle, let's go. Steady now." The old turtle crawled back into the water and swiftly swam towards the other side with them on his back. The Tongtian River was wide, and the old turtle swam for half a day before they were halfway across. Seeing that Tang Seng hadn't mentioned his old promise, the old turtle couldn't hold back any longer and asked in a low voice, "Master, what about the matter I asked you to consult with the Buddha about all those years ago?" This question stumped Tang Seng. It turned out that after reaching Ling Mountain, Tongtian's mind was entirely focused on the task of retrieving the scriptures. He had long forgotten the promise he made to the old turtle. But as a monk, he couldn't lie, so he could only mumble and didn't dare to answer. The old turtle, having lived for centuries, instantly understood what was going on when Tongtian didn't respond. Anger welled up in his heart as he thought, "Years ago, I ferried you across the river for free, and today I'm doing it again. Even if there's no merit, there is effort. And yet, you've treated me like air and given me an empty promise. You really think I'm easy to bully, huh?" Thinking of this, he immediately took action. Without a word, and while Tongtian and his disciples were off guard, he suddenly plunged into the water with a splash. He swam underwater for 2 or 3 miles before resurfacing. When he looked up, he saw Tongtian, Sun Wukong, Zubaji, Sha Wujing, and even the white dragon horse struggling in the river with their luggage floating everywhere. Seeing their miserable state, he felt relieved and felt much better. "You deserve this," he shouted loudly before diving back into the water, never to emerge again. However, this led to a great disaster. Though Tongtian and his disciples quickly swam to the shore, the scriptures they had just retrieved were soaked. With no other choice, they laid the scriptures on the rocks by the shore to dry, but some parts were damaged beyond repair. This incident became the 81st calamity on their journey to retrieve the scriptures from the west, the incident at Tongtian River where the scriptures were soaked. Destroying the scriptures was a grave mistake, and as the culprit, the old turtle naturally faced punishment. Despite hundreds of years of continuous cultivation afterward, he never managed to attain a human form and eventually died in his original state. It is said that this was the Buddha's punishment for him. Retrieve the scriptures and attain the ultimate result. After the bodhisattvas of the West had arranged the 81 calamities, they were finally satisfied. They sent the 8 great Vajras to escort Tongtian and his disciples back to the Tang dynasty's capital, Chang'an, using clouds and mist. Tongtian had traveled to the west on foot, and after enduring many hardships over 14 years, returned by flying, taking just 1 day. Upon returning to Chang'an after 14 years of hardship, Tongtian received a warm welcome from Emperor Taizang of Tang, Li Shimin. During his journey, every country he passed through had stamped his pass document with the national seal. Throughout the journey, Tongtian had collected seals from many countries and regions, including Baoshan Country, Wuji Country, Chechi Country, Ziliang Women's Country, Jasai Country, Zuzi Country, Shichuo Country, Bichu Country, and Extinction Country. He showed these seals to Emperor Taizong of Tang, who was very pleased, as they proved Tongtian's genuine visit to the West and dispelled any doubts about inactivity or false reports. Tongtian also introduced his 3 disciples and the white dragon horse to Emperor Taizong. Although his disciples didn't look like typical humans, the emperor, being well-traveled, wasn't overly surprised. Emperor Taizong ordered Tongtian to recite the scriptures at the Yan Ta Temple in Chang'an, which is now known as the Dacian Temple in Xi'an. To this day, the giant wild goose pagoda there is the very place where Tongtian once housed the Buddhist scriptures. One day, while Tongtian was lecturing the monks at the Yan Ta Temple, the 8 great Vajras suddenly appeared, hovering in midair. They proudly announced, "Tongtian, you have done a great job spreading the Dharma. Come with us to the West to receive your reward." Without further ado, they summoned Tongtian, his disciples, and the white dragon horse into the air. The emperor and the monks, who were watching, hurriedly bowed. After all, seeing deities flying in the sky was a rare sight that made even the most steadfast knees go weak. Back in the West, the Buddha personally assessed their achievements. Tongtian, as the project leader, was promoted to Kandana Merit Buddha. Sun Wukong, having accomplished the most in battling demons and aiding the journey, was promoted to Victorious Fighting Buddha. Zubaji and Sha Wujing were promoted to Clean Platform Messenger and Golden Body Arhat, respectively. In Buddhism, messengers and arhats are considered lower in rank than Buddhas and bodhisattvas. Sha Wujing, being an honest person, was content with his position as an arhat. However, Zubaji was dissatisfied and asked the Buddha, "Master and senior brother have become Buddhas. Why am I just a messenger?" The Buddha responded, "Although the rank of messenger is lower, you get to consume all the offerings made to the Buddha. For someone who loves to eat like you, isn't this a perfect fit?" Realizing the benefits of his position, Zubaji was pleased and accepted it happily. In the end, the Buddha granted the white dragon horse the title of Eightfold Celestial Dragon Horse. Although he retained the name horse, he was actually restored to his dragon form, and it was a high-ranking dragon, serving beside the Buddha with greater prestige than his father, the Dragon King of the Eastern Sea. With this, the story of Journey to the West comes to a joyous conclusion. However, it's important to note that the historical Tongtian, also known as Xuanzang, did travel to the western regions, namely India, to obtain scriptures. But he did not have magical disciples like Sun Wukong, Zubaji, Sha Wujing, or the White Dragon Horse. Xuanzang relied on his strong will to traverse deserts, high mountains, and dense forests, overcoming countless hardships and narrowly escaping death multiple times. His unwavering determination and achievement serve as an inspiring example for everyone to learn from and remember.